So you are going on a cruise, and I am so excited for you. You have taken the time to plan out your itinerary. You selected the itinerary that you want. You've budgeted for your shore excursions. You might have already booked them. Same with your specialty restaurants. You're excited to see what the ship has to offer. But have you budgeted for your onboard shopping? And that is the $1 million question, quite literally, because this is often an overlooked part of the experience of cruising. A lot of people ask, why are people shopping on the ship? What's available on the ship? And the truth is, it does vary. It does depend a lot on the size of the ship and the cruise line. Different cruise line offer different products. But in general, most ships will offer you a combination of um, souvenirs logo, as well as some fine jewelry and unique duty-free purchases. So you're looking at a wide range of items you can shop on board and, of course, in port. And really, knowing what to buy and where is the best way to make sure that you're getting the most value for your buck. My name is Eric, and I have been in the duty free industry for about 20 years. And I've done everything from jewelry sales to brand rep to being the vice president of a jewelry company in New York City that represents some of the finest, most rare, and phenomenal gemstones in the world, to now having my very own jewelry collection. This is an industry that I am so incredibly passionate about. This is an industry that I have has given me so many incredible opportunities, and my wish through this channel is to share with you a little bit of the insight and a little bit about some of the ways to make sure that you're commemorating your cruise vacation in a manner that is authentic and just perfect for you, regardless of what that is. So, as I mentioned, there are going to be a lot of different shopping opportunities on board, and really on board versus ashore. Well, you know what? They each have their benefits. And really, I think that when you are shopping, I think that there is a time and place to shop for specific items. And hopefully, I can cover some of that with you in this video. So a quick overview, when it comes to shopping on board, you'll have your duty-free shops that include your perfumes, your cosmetics, your logo souvenirs I mentioned before, some watch brands, some fine jewelry, some fashion jewelry. You'll find a little bit of everything, some snacks if for some reason you don't have enough food at the all-you-can-eat buffet. The one thing that they don't have a lot of is electronics. That's something that is usually reserved for import, and the reason for that is just because it just takes up a lot of space and it gets outdated so quickly, right? So that's something that they tend to steer away from. Say for some, like like a GoPro or some binoculars or something like that, you can usually find in the photo department. For the most part, though, you're going to be looking at more of the luxurious side of the business. That's what you're going to be looking at, and that's where I fall in. Now, I did mention fashion jewelry. By no means does this mean that it is cheap jewelry. You're looking at fabulous brands like Mallorca, Brighton, and you know what? You can also, hopefully, if you're on the right ship, you might even find my collection, Escape. And it is an opportunity for you to find unique, rare gemstones without necessarily going into the tens of thousands of dollars, but it still does give you an opportunity to shop for some incredible gemstones. And I'm such a gemstone boy. I genuinely love creating these pieces. So for me to bring you what is called fashion jewelry and work in that environment, I find incredibly rewarding. Now, when it comes to, I did mention the inventory. You have your duty free, you have liquor and tobacco, you have some ship branded souvenirs, but there's also sometimes events called trunk shows on the ship. And usually that's how you'll find my collection on board. A trunk show basically means that someone has come on board with essentially a trunk full of jewelry that's not usually available on the ship for a short period of time. One, two cruises at a time, maybe a couple of a month, couple of months at most. And Usually these brands are brought on board because they specialize in a unique gemstone or a unique product that is relevant to the itinerary, that the shops don't usually carry. In my case, for example, I specialize in jades and pearl. I work with jade that comes out of Guatemala as well as Alaska and Canada. For that reason, I get invited to do a lot of trunk shows on board ships that go to the Panama Canal, that do Alaska, even Hawaii. I'm based in Palm Springs, California, so again, anything that comes out of the West Coast, particularly reasonable for us to go ahead and you know sail and offer you our products. Now, what is also unique about the trunk show program is that usually we bring items that are not available on our website, and the reason for that is on the site I'm curating for a specific audience, and on the ship you have a more worldly uh, audience, if you will. Basically, every single cruise, you get you get a whole new group of people that are from all over the world, different social economic backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, and that really does mean that we get to be creative and maybe push the envelope a little bit more when it comes to the designs. And I 100% prefer selling our product on cruise ships as opposed to if I were to open a brick and mortar on land. At least at this time. At this time, I enjoy the opportunity of being able to be on board because it gives you that unique temporary opportunity. You get to go on different ships, you meet different people, you meet guests from around the world, and then afterwards, some of them go on my website and they look at other items that I have in the curated collections, and everything from home decor through to gourmet treats, right? So it's a great way for me to meet people and to introduce these particular items. One of my favorite categories are the cosmetics and perfume. Not every cruise line will have, not every ship will have cosmetics per se, but most of them will have perfumes at the very least. And what I enjoy is that there's usually limited editions that you might only find in like the duty free at the airport. Well, there's also limited edition that you'll only ever find on cruise ships. So that's very exciting for me. Also, just sometimes the size. The size makes a big difference when you're looking at um, the perfume bottles, right? You might be able to get a larger bottle for the same price as a lower bottle back home, and that larger bottle just might not be available back home. So that's something that I really enjoy. Another fabulous find is liquor. Same thing. Sometimes there are. I live half my time in Canada, half my time in California, and in Canada, and even here, you get bottles that are 750 milliliters versus on the ship you might find that same bottle at the same price, but it's a liter. So again, you get those limited edition specialties, and that makes a big difference in terms of the offering. And again, it's fun, it's tax and duty free, so you can save money if you know what to look for and what to shop for and when to shop. So why buying on board is easy? Convenience. That's the number one thing. You're already there. It's duty free, so you can save some money, as I mentioned. Sometimes there's limited editions, as I mentioned. Um, but also, it's all been vetted by the cruise line. So you know that what you're getting is 100% authentic. You know that what you're buying, the cruise line is saying, hey, listen, we're willing to put our name behind this vendor, behind this brand, to tell you that what they are offering you truly is 100% natural or authentic. And that goes a long way because not every vendor is the same in the world, right? Um, and that's why I think electronics is something that they don't sell on board very much. There's just too much can go wrong with that. So you want to make sure that you are shopping from someone that's reputable. And one of the biggest turnoffs for me is when you look at brands that are or vendors in port and they offer you something and then they go, no, 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 don't worry, I'm gonna do 50% off. Actually, no, I'll do 70% off, or I'll do 99.999% off. I walk away from those interactions not really knowing what the value of the item is, or the authenticity. Because my question is, if everybody else is selling their product for 100, but you're telling me I can have it for 20, that tells me that there has to be a reason why this piece is being sold for 20 and you're still making money on it, right? Because they're not going to lose money on a piece of jewelry that they're going to give you. They're not going to um, sacrifice their earnings, right? So it makes you wonder. And like they say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So it's very important for you to keep that in mind. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like to negotiate, maybe shopping on board is a little bit better because the prices are there's a little wiggle room, but the cruise then makes sure that we're being very uh, transparent and we're very upfront with what our best deals can be. And if you're the kind of person that doesn't enjoy negotiating, then that's a big pro for you for to be on board. If you enjoy if you enjoy the haggling and all that energy, then of course, go and pour it and be ready to spend a few hours doing that. But I mean, if you're on this incredible cruise vacation and you're only going to spend one day in this port of call, you're only there for 6 to 8 hours. Do you really want to spend 2 3 hours negotiating over some jewelry or over a watch? That decision is yours and yours to make, right? So it really truly does depend on what it is that you want out of this cruise vacation. That's what you want to make sure that you're very clear with yourself. You're very clear as to what it is that you're going to do and what's a pro and what's a con, right? Um, can you save money in port compared to the shops on board? Sure, sometimes. Listen, on the ship, we go through inventory so quickly, right? So we don't usually have dead inventory, as it's called. In port, sometimes they have inventory that's a few seasons old, and they're willing to let go of it for a little bit less, just so that they can move and free up the monies tied into their inventory. But if you're going to shop on board, in port, the one tip I have for you is see if your cruise ship has an onboard shopping program or a shopping promotional program. Now, this is no secrets. This is a paid for advertising that different shops participate in. You have the big ones like your Dams Internationals, your Effie, your Milano. But in each port, they also have what are considered to be independent family owned retail stores. And I prefer those. I love those. And for me to go and shop in one of those stores is the safest bet because one, they have been vetted by the cruise line, right? They applied to be part of a program. The company that oversees it has vetted them. The cruise line has approved. So you really do get a very you get a great security blanket, right? You get a great warranty, and that makes a very big difference. So if you're cruising on if you're on a cruise line that has a shopping program, has a shopping show, go to the shopping show. Yes, it's going to be a lot of sales pitches, but maybe you'll find or you'll learn about a new gemstone you've never heard of before, or maybe you'll learn a little bit about what stores offer what, and that makes a world of a difference, right? If you can go in and out of a store knowing that the product that you're looking at that store is authentic, it saves you so much hassle and it saves you so much I don't know, it prevents a lot of buyer's remorse, in my opinion, because it really allows for you to shop with confidence, right? So if you're on a cruise line that has a shopping program, go to the show. If you don't want to go to the show, find out what time the shopping host or the shopping concierge is available in at their station, and then go and talk to them there. They'll let you know what brands are out there, where they can guarantee. And again, guarantees are very important, right? Like if there's a store that is being backed by the cruise line that you're sailing on, listen, you already trusted the cruise line with your vacation. Why not trust them with the jewelry as well, right? And the reason I talk so much about jewelry is because jewelry is the number one purchase made on really any cruise. Very important for you to keep in mind. So if you're shopping on board, you're paying for convenience. Prices are still very competitive, but if you and you don't have to worry about negotiating too much. If you're looking at shopping in port, then you will look at having to spend a little bit more time from your time in port inside the store and negotiating and seeing what inventory they may have. Perhaps in the future, I'll make a video of some of my favorite independent retailers that I've worked with in the last 20 years. They're all over the Caribbean and Alaska, and I really do think that they are such good people, so genuine, so honest, and I would feel comfortable recommending them to really anyone. So you let me know if you're interested in that. I can definitely make a video, and in the next few weeks if that's something that you're interested in. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is when you're going to shop. And when you shop is going to determine what you find available. In the shops on board, for example, space is very limited. And what ends up happening is there's a lot of product that is kept in the underground belly of the ship, in the storage or in the lockers as they call it. And that's incredibly important for you to know. And the reason it's important for you to know is because what ends up happening is they have a schedule, and they're going to bring some product out of the safe, or sorry, out of their locker for maybe a 4 or 5 hour duration. And then that's it. And then after that, that goes away and does not come back out during the cruise. And that's incredibly important for you to know. So, and keep in mind, because you do want to walk by the shops 2, 3 times a day, because the promotional tables that are usually held outside of the shops will change once or twice a day. And the reason why that is important is because that's where you're going to find those promo sets. That's where you're going to find the stocking stuffers. That's where you're going to find your $10 table. That's where you find all of those fun little gifts. When it comes to your beauty or your product, like your fine jewelry or your fashion jewelry, that product is pretty much on display permanently, but they might just have events where they enhance the collection. So, for example, with mine, when I'm on board, there will always be jade out. But when I have an event, be it a seminar or a raffle, I'll bring out all of the jade. So you end up from being able to see maybe 300 pieces to being able to see 500 pieces worth of jewelry. So it makes sense to attend the events. And also, we're really big on board on educating and sharing knowledge about what we have and why it's on board and what makes it so special. So it's very important for you to plan it out. If you want to learn about these gemstones, if you want to see them, touch them, feel them, wear them with no commitment, this is it. I mean, when was the last time you were able to walk into a jewelry store back in your hometown and say, I want to try these 10 pieces, and then walk out and not feel like you've been pressured into buying something, right? That's what we do on the ships. Come in, try jewelry on. So, yeah, so shopping for on board is very important. When you're going to shop for, listen, earlier the better. Uh, People have been told that on the last day there's going to be this big, massive 99.999% sale. No, there isn't. Definitely not, and definitely not in like the finer product, right? Like the watches. If it's a $3,000 watch, it's not going to be $300 on the last day of the cruise. That's just madness, right? Because then in that case, no one would ever buy jewelry except for like on the last day. And these are real brands. This is real product. They're not going to do that. So please, if you think that that is what happens, it is not. If there is a sale on the last day, that means that that product has been intentionally brought on board specifically for that sale on the last day. That is not the usual inventory available in the shops. So yes, so when to shop, important. The earlier, the better. Also, use your onboard credits. I cannot tell you how much I have friends that work in customer service and in the accounting teams, and they tell me how thousands upon thousands and thousands of dollars are not used every single cruise, and they're just lost. Onboard credits. Some people get onboard credits because they are repeat clients, repeat cruisers, or they get onboard credits because it's a courtesy that their travel agent gave them, or they get onboard credits because of the type of cabin they booked. For any reason, if you have an onboard credit, use your credit, because it is crazy to me that you have a couple of $100 there that could be something, and you choose just to leave it behind and to not use it. That is crazy to me. So you want to make sure that you use your onboard credit, use it early in the cruise. And the great part is that if you use it early in the cruise, you might get more. You know, if like they say, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So sometimes I've seen when clients get in nice and early in the cruise and they're buying a big ticket item, sometimes there's behind the scene tours that they get invited to. Sometimes there's specialty restaurants that they might be paid for, or they might get a free bottle of champagne. But if you're waiting until the very last day when the prices are still the same, and um, they can't do anything. We can't do anything for you. So make sure you shop early, because that way, if there is anything we can do for you to help make your cruise that much better, we will, because it's the name of the game. So shop early. Okay. Another thing you want to keep in mind when you're shopping is if you're shopping in port, know when you're going to shop. You have the local markets, you have street vendors, you have textile shops, you have artisanal workshops. All those types of vendors and shopping is available in port. And you need to understand what it is that you're going to be buying for, right? So if you're going to be looking at some artisanal products, then that's great. Go to an artisanal place. But if you're going to be buying fine jewelry, well, if a store is selling T-shirts in one side and then they also have some fine jewelry, me personally, I like to make sure I buy my jewelry from fine jewelers, right? Something that is authenticated. So when it comes to your handicrafts, your food, your local treats, your textiles, your tailorings, 100% get them in port, because chances are that the ship will not have them on board. There just simply isn't enough space on board to have all of those products. Um, Before you go on a cruise, do your homework. Find out what the specialty item is. For example, you're going to St. Martin. You want to make sure you get some of the berries there, the gooseberry. That's so delicious. You want to go to I don't know, Guatemala. Get some coffee. You know, um, find out where you're going and look at what those artisanal local treats are, and that's what's going to make a very big difference in terms of what you're shopping for and getting the most value for your buck. Another thing for you to keep in mind is your packing and your shipping when you're shopping. Depending on where you go, if you're buying something bigger, let's say a home ornament or something of the sort, then they can likely ship it to you. If you're buying jewelry, you'll probably have to take it back with you. So you need to understand, how are you going to take it back? Are you buying a watch? Do you have the watch box? Are you taking that back? Do you care to take it back? Is it worth the hassle of you taking it back? Make all those choices before you go, because that gives you the opportunity to uh, shop with intention, right? One of the practices I know a lot of vendors do is that if you buy a watch, you take the watch with you, but they'll mail your watch box um, to your home to help you avoid having all that extra weight in your suitcases, right? Um, Same with some food items. For example, when you're in Alaska, you can go to some of the vendors there that sell salmon and fish and crab, and you can buy everything. They flash freeze it, and then they ship it to you, and it arrives on a date that you selected beforehand. So there's always a way to do it, but know what it is that you're going to do. Just know from the very beginning, so that you're not stuck with on the last day being like, oh my gosh, where am I putting all this frozen salmon? Or oh my gosh, what am I doing with this big jewelry kit or this jewelry watch? Sorry, this watch box. What am I doing with it? So understand. Hey, listen, we're happy to shop. We do not have space in our luggage, or we're happy to shop and we intentionally left space in our luggage, and how much space that is. That's going to make a very big difference. Another important thing for you to keep a track of is customs, my friends. Yes, because every country is different. And while shopping on board does mean that it's tax and duty free because the ships only open while we're at sea, Not every island that we go to or every destination is going to be tax and duty free. So if you're sailing in the Mediterranean, for example, you're out there, you're going to be paying the VAT. And if you're paying the VAT, that's 20% right there. So this is one of those opportunities where it makes sense to go to the shopping show, because if there's a shopping show on board, then they're going to tell you the information on how to get that VAT tax back. If you are buying items, you want to make sure that you understand your allowances before buying alcohol and tobacco. Remember, allowances mean that you're allowed to bring a specific amount of this item into the country tax and duty free. It does not mean that you're only allowed to bring that. You can bring back as much as you want, but you have to declare it and then most likely pay some form of duty or tax on it, depending on where you are. And it's important for you to know that, because you can't go on what a vendor's going to tell you. They'll tell you anything. If you're buying a case of wine, they're going to tell you anything you want. Or a case of rum, know the information before you go on your cruise. That is also relevant when you're looking at your high value purchases, like your watches, your diamonds, your fine jewelry. Listen, get your independent appraisals wherever possible. Understand what gemstones come certified, which gemstones do not come certified. um, and also be mindful of where you're buying and what you're getting. For example, I trade in jade. I sell fine quality type A, non bleached, non treated, no color correction. I sell the real deal, 100% natural type A jade. If you look at one of my pieces and you see, and it's $400-$500, and you go out and you see something similar and it's $50, I I can't guarantee anything, and I'm not meaning to talk bad about them, but I'm just saying it likely isn't the same product, right? If you don't know enough, if you don't know about this, please be mindful when shopping, because the last thing I'd love for you to do is, and it's happened so many times, where people will come on board and say, "Hey, oh look, Eric, I bought this jade outside. And what do you think?" Listen, I'm always going to tell you it's pretty because it makes you happy, and that is ultimately the goal of shopping, to be happy, to have something that you enjoy. But um, you can't tell me that fine jewelry stores will sell items for $400-$500 and then a stall outside will sell it for 20. It's not the same. Okay? Will they tell you? Maybe, maybe not. Will they know the difference? Maybe not. Maybe they genuinely don't even know themselves. So shop from reputable pieces. All right? That's very important. Another couple of tricks I like to do is I like to take pictures of the receipt as soon as you get it. Take a picture of the shop, take a picture of the salesperson if they'll let you, take a picture of the business card. And if they're making any claims of the sort, try to get a video. If it's authentic, they shouldn't be hiding anything, right? So you can always do that. But again, if you're shopping out in port, it goes back to that shopping program. You know what? Stick to the list. Sure, you might pay $50 more, but you know what? $50 more on a $4,000 necklace, on a $10,000 watch, isn't gonna make a big difference. But you are gonna have that ship guarantee, and that will make a big difference. So to sum it up, you're going to have shopping on board and shopping import. And it really comes down to your choice of authenticity and value for dollars. And that's really what's going to make the very big difference in terms of uh, where it is that you're going to shop, when you're going to shop. Let me know in the comments if you want me to give you a video with some of my favorite um, import destinations, like import shopping, because I think that there are some really awesome family owned businesses that I think everyone should keep an eye out for. And so I'm happy to do that for you as well. If you're cruising and you have any questions about cruising or shopping on board, let me know. Listen, you can say I drank the Kool Aid, but the truth is, I genuinely love the whole jewelry on a ship industry to me is just so beautiful. You're going to be sailing in and out of some of the most beautiful places in the world. And keep in mind, we are seeing in 1 week more people walk through this jewelry store than some jewelry stores at home will see in 6 months, a year, right? So on some of these ships that have 7,000 passengers, even just 10%, 700 people come in and walk around and shop. That is a lot more than in 1 week. That is a lot more than some jewelry stores will see in months. So the inventory is always fresh. We're always very dynamic. And I think that what I enjoy, again, I mentioned it earlier, are those educational seminars that make a big difference and really bring life to the products and to the collections that are offered on board. So if you are on a cruise and you're headed to the cruise, leave a comment below. Tell me what cruise line you're going on, where you're going, and if you are looking to do some shopping, tell me what it is that you like to shop for on your cruise. I'm very curious because I've been doing this for so long, and I've decided to start making videos about shopping in the cruise market and sharing anything that I can to brings you value and that will help you understand how to shop. So that being said, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Happy sailing!